Cheers, Sunday night. I have tomorrow off work for MLK. So I was doing Yellowstone Old Fashioned again. Had a little too many on Friday night when I recorded my last video, so I had to kind of take a break yesterday. But back at it since I have Monday off. So I got out today. This is Sunday. I'll be posting this video probably really late Sunday, maybe Monday, depending on when the 4K renders and everything. I usually just do it the next morning because YouTube takes forever. I filmed some clips. Unfortunately, I made a mistake, though I was aware of it, so it's not like I didn't see it happening, but I kind of justified it to myself. So I went out to record some clips of basically just wanted to get some kind of vista looks of kind of down out into the valley. I live under the kind of the base of the foothills of a valley. So there's several different vantage points where you can see out over the valley and, you know, kind of a nice look. Thought I'd get some clips of that just to mess around with F-log, recording in F-log, and try out, you know, kind of some different LUTs and not grading. I don't know how to grade, but with LumaFusion, you can kind of do some minor adjustments with, I guess that would be some kind of really crude grading of some sort. But I wanted to take some clips. I took out my XH1, obviously. I want to do F-log. My XC3 doesn't do it. And I brought the 55-200 because not only did I want the reach, again, trying to get like distance vistas, I don't want anything wide, but I thought with the IS or OIS, it's supposed to do some type of dual IS, which is another topic maybe. On a side note, if you look at Fuji's old details on the XH1, and they kind of quickly moved on to the XT3 and then the XT4 later, but they had some charts, and I think the only lens they ever said that had OIS that they called cooperative control, I think is what Fujifilm called it, was the 80mm. So it's kind of unclear. Sony and other companies seem to do a better job as far as specifying stops and how they work with other lenses. Panasonic with Lumix, you know, they really talk about their dual IS, but it seems Fuji does that with the OIS lenses. I definitely can tell with the 18-55 because the 18-55, which is stabilized with the XH1 at 18mm, is very stable. It's more stable than even the 16mm prime, and I think it's because of the OIS in conjunction with IBIS, but you know, this is sort of just from practical experience. I don't have any, you know, scientific data to back it up. But I wanted to show you guys some clips. Unfortunately, what I was kind of doing was with F-log, you have to be base ISO 800 on the XH1. I believe it went to 640 on the XT4 on the newer 26mm sensor because it's a lower base ISO of 160 instead of 200. But in either case, the XH1 needs 800 ISO. You can go above that, but you can't go low. Even if you go below on the ISO dial, it just turns yellow, warning you it's going to stay at 800. It'll still say 800 even if the dial says 640 or 400, because it's telling you I can't go below that. It's sort of for that whole dynamic range 400 option kind of concept with Fuji if you are in the Fuji ecosystem. Anyway. So that's high ISO for kind of the sun starting to go down. It wasn't sunset at all. This was like, I don't know, 4 o'clock or something. Bright sun still, not, you know, noon sun, but still sun, and 1/60th of a second because I'm doing 4K 30. So I wanted the shutter speed double the frame rate. And with 800 ISO, you know, that's super bright. So I don't have an ND that's this big. So that was my learning experience. I ended up having to shoot at f/16, which is the smallest aperture that the 55-200 does, and it was still at least, I think, I'm trying to remember. It says like +2, but then above 2 to 3, it's gray, and I can't remember if it's because it can't even recognize overexposure that far above in video. Like it only does it in stills where that 2 to 3 EV range is actually white on in the screen. So it was either 2 or more stops overexposed. But at the same time, I know from what I'm reading, you're supposed to overexpose F-log a little bit. I don't know about, you know, a ton, but maybe you're supposed to go a little over, like a stop or something like that. So these were all way overexposed, and it was kind of that hazy look because there's kind of, you know, dust in the valley. There always is. We only have a clear view out in the valley after like a really good rain because it like cleans the dust out of the air. So anyway, these clips are kind of, you know, the exposure's just kind of overdone and shot. So I kind of messed up there. So learning experience. Since I don't have an ND, I should have just said F it on the whole, you know, with F-log, F the shutter speed double rule, because I don't have an ND filter. And then maybe the motion would have been slightly less nice because it's like not the right shutter speed. It's too high. But I think the video would have looked better if I had whatever it would have needed, a 500th of a second, or, you know, at least 250th, something higher up there to be able to get me down to it. I probably would have shot the videos maybe f5.6, f8. So I wasn't obviously went for shallow depth of field. I wanted a deeper depth of field, but not f16. It's diffraction and soft. So anyway, with hope, you know, long background excuse for this video clips. But anyway, I'm going to kind of run through them. I have them up here if I look away from it because I'm looking at my iPad just as a kind of a reminder. But I'll insert these video clips. I'll insert these video clips into this video when I upload it. But you can basically see with the text, I'm showing these different clips with the F-log natively, you know, super flat, and then with one of the LUTs that LumaFusion has, or it's one of the LUTs. There's a couple I think I did of the orange and teal, or teal and orange. It's this free 5-pack of LUTs I found online. There's a web editor's keys, the website, the YouTube channel, but they had it's still up, their video. You can use their coupon code on their video and get it for free. So I had some of those. But LumaFusion has some Filmic, like the Filmic video app I have on my iPhone that I bought years ago and barely used, unfortunately, to get better video. There's a couple, what D-Log and D-Log V3 you'll see in these clips, but they're like, you know, anti-log, so you have this super flat image and then it really brings the colors and contrast up. But it's kind of interesting, you know, again, these clips suck because I messed up, overexposed them, but it's kind of interesting to see what looks like a completely blown out sky and everything's blown out. Like, it's just, I mean, obviously this was hazy, so it shouldn't look super dark, but it really brings back the blues in the sky and some of the kind of magenta orange in the sunset and the clouds, and the greens in the grass and stuff. So it's kind of interesting. Anyway, you know, my first, you know, foray into playing around with log. I did some clips the other night, you know, I think I mentioned this in my last video, just like of a, you know, in the middle, after like on my lunch break or something, I was just filming my coffee mug on my desk, you know, with the camera, and it was just crap. So I wanted to get out, take some actual footage outside. I got to do this again. It's kind of awkward, but I got to do it more, and then I guess it'll get less awkward. I'll go again, forget the shutter speed, probably just put it on aperture priority with the manual ISO of 800, set my aperture to maybe 5.6 or f8, and then just let the shutter speed go everywhere. I don't see myself investing in an ND yet. I don't see myself getting into a lot of outdoor video footage to justify it. I do have an old ND that I've had for years, way back when I had a Canon, and it's what is it? It's a 52 or 58 millimeter, either way, 52 or 58. The filter size of the 55-200 is 62, so it's not that big. It wouldn't have worked. I'll see, maybe some of I think I may have a lens or two that might be 52 or 58, so I could, you know, potentially adapt to that, but that's super limited. But again, until I really get into this, you know, I'm not gonna invest in ND filters. It's a lot of money. And then I even heard Casey from Camera Conspiracies. So again, I haven't seen this video where he claimed this, but apparently he stopped using NDs or something and just uses high shutter speeds, and apparently nobody even noticed. I don't know, you can kind of tell, like, I don't know if it was DP Review or, you know, Chris Nichols and Jordan. I swear I saw some video where they were really showing the difference. like to make the point of it, and like, you know, movements like this when the shutter speed is too high, it just looks so weird and unnatural that, you know, that's kind of why I always try to follow it. And then in, you know, a controlled environment like this in a room, it's really easy to do. So anyway, on the bright side, I think I still think I have enough gas that as soon as that silver XT4 becomes available with the $200 discount, it seems Fuji's leaving that up. I'm actually was gassy enough this weekend. I was thinking about just buying it from B&H, even though they're not going to be able to ship it until they get more stock. But I can't do that. But I think I still may get it just because I realize I'm just committed to the Fuji ecosystem. I do have a little closet, you know, interest in Nikon, and I'm curious to see where they go with this Z8 theoretic little camera that people talk about. Something like a Z9, but way cheaper, and not a body grip camera, but like something more, what would you say, prosumer, enthusiast. That could be interesting. And sounds strange, but I would want it to have dual SD cards or a hybrid slot like Sony A7 IV has, because I don't want to invest in another kind of card. Seems like SD can still do enough. Sony can kind of prove it with their stuff. And even Fuji has really high bit rates. So I'll stick with SD cards, so let's see what they do. But generally I'm a Fuji guy, so the X-T4 is likely my next camera. But anyway, like, I think this has been okay. I can still see it go a little bit, and if I do stuff like this with my hands, I really throw the XH1 for a loop. But it seems like for this kind of video where I'm just sitting here, it's pretty good. The audio was fixed, you know, getting the Rode Wireless Goes 2 V2, and yeah, it seems like these settings. This is +4 speed. Sorry, +4 tracking, which is the highest it goes to lock on. Probably just leaving it there for a while, and then I've gone down to -4 speed. I might even try -3, but this seems to work pretty well. You put the box on your face detection on, and it seems like it holds good enough. And then when I'm behind the camera, I hadn't had issues like on family trips or just taking video of my kids, because I basically use zone with the box on them. I don't do face, and I ride the autofocus lock. I had to change some setting in the menu to actually make the autofocus lock button work, like it did on my XE3. For some reason it didn't work straight out of the box with the XH1. They didn't do anything in video. But basically when you change it, then the AFL button works like it does in stills, where it's a autofocus lock, and I basically have it in continuous AF. And then if whatever my subject is stops moving, even if they're moving a little bit, but they're not moving a lot, I just put my thumb on the AF lock, because it's a really nice, easy to hit button on the XH1, and then it stops it from hunting. And I continue the video, and then if I have to move again, I let go of it. Or if it's sort of like on a ride in Disney, where I'm holding the camera, pointing at my kids, and I know it's got them, I just hold it. And while we're on the ride, we're basically the same thing. And then as soon as I move the camera again, I let go to let it try to focus again. And that's worked pretty well. It's worked quite well, to be honest. So when I'm behind the camera, with that, you got to do more work than a Sony. The Sony can just do it for you because it's better. But I can make the Fuji work, so I'm happy with that. So yeah, I got to experiment a little bit more with the F-log, but this was just kind of interesting for me to see how it works with, some better clips. But I got to do a better job and maybe try. I think I'll try some night, not tonight, not after having some cocktails here, but I'll go down to my town center here where I live and just park my car and just film. There's a strip with all the lights, street lights, and then cars and stuff. And there was one of these LUTs, cine neon lights or something. One of the, what is that? Editor's Keys, one of their LUTs. They look kind of neat. They have an example doing like Vegas, the strip, and they apply their LUT. It looks kind of nice. So I will give that a go and see how this goes. But I don't think I'm going to do much more of these types of videos in log. It seems unnecessary in a room. This is, by the way, I'm back to Eterna. Difference though from my original Eterna videos, I used to just have the shadows at -2 because I was like really anti-dark shadows. This is back to 0. So it should have a little more contrast. The blacks and darks should be a little bit darker. My hair looks a little bit darker, but I think it still looks natural. and it doesn't look like ridiculously flat. Like I kind of look at my videos before and compare them to other people's channels, and mine are a little bit too flat, and it kind of looked a little bit weird. And it was a reaction to hating the old Fuji super contrasty, unusable video from the 16 megapixel days, but I, got to get past that. So anyway, this is kind of going way too long in a rant, but figured I'd just share with you guys what I kind of saw playing around with some, applying some LUTs, and even one little minor color contrast, kind of grading, I wouldn't call it that, edit that I did on one little bit of a clip. So cheers.